So I was in the roll by.
Yeah, Khan, you know what? That is a wrench, man.
Okay, let's get this popping. Alright, we're good. Test the sound out. Sound check. Right, Shalom, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there on the highways and the byways teaching this word, sincerity and in truth. Shalom to you brothers out there that's listening, learning, supporting the ministry, and to the sisters as well. And this lesson, epistle, is gonna be going into algorithms of death, the culling to come, martial law, famine, and tribulation. Okay, because we know that there's gonna be a time which has been prophesied by the prophet Daniel to come, which is gonna be of great tribulation. Something none of us have ever seen, with our eyes, man. Something none of us have ever experienced, but the whole world is going to experience in that day. So let me get that scripture. I want you to be able to see it and just flip over. Boom, 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 boom. Right, so this is the book of Daniel, 12 and 1. It says, "At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And the ones which are found written in the book are the elect." That's in the book of Peter's. Um, what is it? First Peter's. Let me just get that for you real quick. The ones that are of Israel that are written in the book is the elect, man. The ones that are going to receive Yahweh Shai, receive this gospel, and be covered by the blood of Yahweh Shai, man, be redeemed, you know. This is our First Peter's 1 and 2. Elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, that's Yahweh, through sanctification of the Spirit. All right. Now the sanctification of your spirit is through this truth. All right. Your spirit becomes sanctified by the sweet knowledge of the Heavenly Father, man, by this truth, which is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is the truth, okay? The spirit of truth. Unto obedience and sprinkling of blood of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, because it is the blood of Yahweh Shai that affords us to return back to the Father, to be forgiven. Grace unto you and peace be multiplied. Okay, so we know that the only ones that are going to be delivered out of this great tribulation to come among Israel, okay, is the elect. All right. Nevertheless, that tribulation is going to come. All right. And we got to warn the people of it. We also got to prepare the minds of the elect to endure the things which are going to befall them. All right. Especially you camp leaders, those of you who are in the camps, actively out there, on Front Street, so to speak, on the front lines of this ministry, of this spiritual war. You know, we're gonna be targets, nevertheless, of the enemy. All right. I just want to get the word trouble here. All right. Now the word trouble in the Hebrew is ira. No, sorry, taza. That's a taza. Tazara. All right. Tazara, which is trouble, distress, affliction, adversity, anguish, tribulation, straits, distress, trouble, rival wife. All right. So you know, basically, man, there's gonna be great distress on the earth, man. There's gonna be famine. There's gonna be the sword. You know, martial law, World War III, disease, pestilence. All these things are gonna become like a flood upon the earth. Okay. Now, the main thing I want to focus on in this lesson is the so-called white man's power structure role in that tribulation, because we know, pursuant to Revelations, the 12th chapter, let's get that this devil, which if you don't know already, the devil that the Bible speaks of pertains to the seed of the wicked, who are the Edomites, and the Edomites are the so-called white people who is called the so-called white man today. They are the Edomites. They are the devil. They are the people of the devil. All right. Now it says there in Revelations 12 and 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. All right. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Now, if we look up this word wrath, I don't think it means hugs and kisses. The word wrath there, I'm gonna let the expert speak.
Strong's G 2372. Thumas. Thumas.
All right. Now that means wrath, fierceness, indignation, passion, angry, heat, anger, forthwith boiling up and soon subsiding again. Glow, adore the wine of passion and flaming wine, blah, 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 which either drives the drinker mad or kills him with its strength. Let's see if we can get any more. To rush along on, be in heat, breathe violently. You know? Meaning, you know, you get in the rage. The rage with which man pants and swells. So this man is gonna come down. He's gonna come down on the people like a madman, like a hungry fire breathing dragon. All right, and how is he gonna do that? Mainly through his power structure, the militarized police and the military itself. You know, and they've been preparing for such a day for a long time, but through militarization of the police and so forth, and development of different weapons and technologies. So I might as well jump to Ezekiel 21 and 9, and then I'm going to get into the information that I got to bring out, because we're going to go into the red list, the blue list, and the yellow list, and also the technologies that they've developed to achieve this plan, this device of theirs. Okay. So this is you have to excuse me, I got a bit of hay fever. It's from you know, excuse me. Ezekiel 21 and 9, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. Now for the last 20 years and so, they've been developing legislations to give them the justification and the means. They've been developing the weapons. They've been manufacturing and distributing these weapons among the different security services and so forth. The different, you know, powers of the state, the police, the army, the National Guard, whatever. You know, they've been preparing the computers, the algorithms, all right, which we're going to get into, the algorithms, the selection process, okay? All right, so these things is all part of the sword being sharpened and also furbished. The drills. When a boxer goes into the gym, the whole point of doing drills is to what? Sharpen themselves. They're sharpening their tools. That's what drilling is. Practice makes perfect. So when you see them constantly, that's why you see these cats, right? When they do these rounds of drills and we put it to the people's attention, oh, these guys, they're fairmongering, but what they don't understand is they're not doing these World War III drills and these martial law drills for no reason. This is all part of the sword being sharpened. That's how you sharpen up your soldiers, with drills. It puts them in a state of readiness. Okay. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. All right, because the death is gonna have great power over 2/3 of our people, man, and that's a lot of our people. The so-called white man is gonna have power to slay the majority of our people by various means. One of those means is gonna be the sword through these martial law troops and so forth. All right. Obviously, you also got the World War. You also got famine. You also got disease warfare. Okay, a whole bunch of goodies the Lord is going to deliver. So it is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? All right, we got to take this seriously because, you know, you got guys, you got your family, you got yourself. You got to take this thing seriously because it's not a joke, man. All right, you get caught up in this thing and you ain't right with the Lord, you going to catch it in the worst way, onto shame as well. You know, there ain't going to be no reward at the end of that. You just going to get what you got. And it's going to be very terrible, man. It's easy to talk it down. But when you're actually experiencing the terror of the Lord, it's not a joke thing. You're gonna want your spirit to flee out your body in the times to come. How terror Scripture says, men's hearts failing them for the things which are come upon the earth. It's gonna be terrible as hell, man. It's gonna be like Hotel Rwanda on steroids. You know what I'm saying? All right. It says, "It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he have given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer." And the slayer represents who? The so-called white man. He has the means to bring great death and destruction to you Israelites. And that we're focusing on you because that's our concern. We're not really concerned about other Edomites that are going to fall by the sword and heathens. We're really concerned with you Israelites, man. Mainly the elect, of course. It says, "Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people, it shall be upon all the princes of Israel." Now, your princes in Israel today would represent your celebrities, and they would be like your princes. Well, even the sword is going to fall upon. "Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people, smite therefore upon thy thigh." All right. So let me check the comment board, and I'm going to start, getting into some more information. All right. Okay, that's a good scripture. Gad's son, Shalom. 1 Peter 5 and 8. Be sober, be vigilant. Okay, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. It's a beautiful scripture. Gad's son as well. John 4:24. The Most High is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. And that goes back into the point I made about being sanctified, man. All right, it's through the spirit, man. Okay, so I want to play you some clips here. We're gonna get into the red list and the blue list. Now, the first thing I want to show you is they've been preparing the people for this, because eventually, man, whether you're a terrorist or not is gonna be determined by a computer program. All right, and they've been setting it up. You got something called predictive programming. Okay. All right, in case you don't know, it says predictive programming, creepy media foreshadowing, or harmless coincidence. It says predictive programming, a theorized method of mass mind control, which is basically witchcraft, proposes that people are conditioned through works of fiction to accept planned future events. Now I'm going to show you an example. If you go to airports around the world now, like over here, Heathrow or Gatwick, they have naked body scanners. That's a recent thing. That's a good article. I want to just get a news article on these naked body standards. These things are real. They exist. Here you have total recall. TSA body scanners now mandatory for some passengers, and here you see you got the body scanner, which I think I've been in one of these one time, man. I'm trying to, yeah, when I was going to America. Was it America? Yeah. I'm trying to remember when but I think at one time I did go through one of these. It might have been when I was going to Spain. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is a reality, and the reason they're saying they need these naked body scanners is due to a terrorist threat. Now the article brings it out because in 1990 you had the movie Total Recall, and in the movie the same thing, because of a terrorist threat they had what, naked body scanners, which I'll play you the clip. There's Arnie, the man.
Entering a safety zone. No unauthorized weapons allowed beyond this point. You are now entering a safety zone. No unauthorized weapons allowed beyond this point.
Okay, so that's from the movie Total Recall. So that was all part of the conditioning the people for they eventually wanted to be able to do that, and then they implemented it. Now I want to show you something in regards to where they're heading with this whole terrorism thing, and how they're gonna link in the computers with it and algorithms, and all social media, the rise of social media, and you basically speaking everything that's in your mind on social media is all part of it. It's all part of it. Now I want to get no, that one, this one. All right, so I'm gonna play this for you, Arkham. Check this clip out. I think this movie was Captain America, Winter Soldier, maybe. I'm not sure. One of them.
Zola's algorithm is a program for choosing insights targets.
What targets?
You, the TV anchor in Cairo, the Undersecretary of Defense, a high school valedictorian in Iowa City, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat to Hydra. Now, or in the future.
Future.
Anyone who is a threat to Hydra. So basically what they're saying is, in this movie, Hydra, which is supposed to be like a hidden hand, they developed a computer algorithm which basically scours the human domain. It scours social media and what people are saying, what they're liking, what they're disliking, and they put together a profile on individuals, and based upon the information, it can predict the whether they are going to be a threat to Hydra's agenda. Okay, which we could replace Hydra with the super elites and the New World Order. Okay, and it determines whether they're a current threat or even a future threat. Okay, which is what, pre-crime, and it singles them out to be a target. Let's listen some more.
How could it know?
How could it not? The 21st century is a digital book. Zola taught Hydra how to read it. Your bank records, medical histories, voting patterns, emails, phone calls, your damn SAT scores. Zola's algorithm evaluates people's past to predict their future.
Yeah, a lot of things that you see happening on TV is all set up by the Tavistock Institute, and people react to it. You go on Facebook, you react. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like what he said. What you don't understand is they got super computers out there, AI algorithms that are sifting through all that information and are basically profiling you based upon what you like, what you dislike, and how you've reacted to certain events. And people don't get that. They don't understand what's going on. All right?
What then? Oh my God, Pierce is gonna kill me. What then? Then the inside helicarriers scratch people off the list. A few million at a time.
Do you know your threat score? Well, the government.
Yeah, so that was the movie, right? Now we're going to get into this news clip. Okay?
Scratch people off the list. A few million at a time.
Do you know your threat score? Well, the government might, as the Washington Post is reporting police are using a new tool to calculate how much of a threat an individual is in order to predict their wrongdoing in the future. Well, to break down exactly what that means, earlier I spoke with Emmy Award-winning legal analyst and news decoder Lionel of Lionel Media. I started by asking him to explain exactly what a threat score is.
Threat scoring is a wonderful attempt on the part of law enforcement to give people the idea that they are utilizing some type of statistical bases to fight crime and terrorism. It's been around forever. Minority Report.
To fight crime and terrorism. Listen, crime is terrorism. Remember, we told you it first. They are already beginning to blur the lines between crime and terrorism. Criminals have rights. Criminals have a place within the judiciary and a way which they are dealt with. Terrorists have no rights. Okay? They're going to do away with the whole aspect of being a terrorist. There's only going to be citizens and terrorists. That's it. Remember, we told you this. This is where it's heading, and that's going to directly lead into the time of great tribulation. Because what do you do with terrorists? You either confine them indefinitely, or you kill them. You know what I'm saying? You can go and see.
The movie of 2002 was really, believe it or not, the blueprint for what we are seeing now. And what it did was it gave us almost an acceptance of what was to come. The programs have great names. Beware, a program since 2012, which also sifts through social media data. We have a Crush system out of the UK since 2010. Criminal reduction utilizing statistical history. And what it does is it takes all types of data, weather conditions, those individuals on the lam, and it pulls them together, thus giving citizens the idea that there's a systematic algorithm. But what's happening here is we're talking about future predictions of crime. Then we throw in things like ShotSpotter and Boomerang and new devices where governments and the police and law enforcement take data and triangulate gunshots to pinpoint where the shooters are. Translation, microphones set up everywhere. Then you have license tag data. You have a host of this metadata vacuuming, and the public sits back and says, isn't that terrific? But oftentimes, Anya, they can't see where this is going. And
yeah, they don't know that these systems are ultimately being set up for their judgment, man. Because they trust the people who are developing these things, that they have their best interest at heart. They're still living in fucking Disneyland. They actually believe that the state cares about them individually. Like they care about them and their families and their well-being. They don't understand the type of sadists that rule their world. They're nothing more than frogs in a pan. There's a term, frogs in a pan. Alright, but it's the boiling frog. The boiling frog is a parable describing a frog being slowly boiled alive. The premise is that if a frog is put suddenly into boiling water, it will jump out. But if the frog is put in tepid water, which is then brought to a boil slowly, it will not perceive the danger and will be cooked to death. All right. The story is often used as a metaphor for the inability or unwillingness of people to react to or be aware of threats that arise gradually. There is a system being built around these people that they do not understand, and it's going to lead directly into their death and destruction, man. That great affliction that the scriptures speak about, tribulation. All right, so let me jump back, keep my mouth shut for a second.
The civil liberty implications that people like you and I worry about.
Well, the media is describing this technology as new, Lionel, but is it really?
No, it's not new. It may be new. Remember, the media, the sock puppet, echo chamber, cookie cutter media are repeaters and not reporters. They are apparatchiks for the government. Anything law enforcement, they're handed the script and they read it. So they say, this is cool, now let's move on and talk about the Golden Globes or whatever, Sean Penn. It's a very little window of opportunity. Nobody really seems to care. But think about this. The implications we are looking at, not only taking data, which makes sense to take, facts and figures, but Anya, we're talking about predicting, using algorithms to predict not only where to go, but whom to suspect.
And something that we know also is that when so much data is pumped into the system, it can actually make it less effective because there's this massive dragnet that everybody gets swept into, and it makes it more difficult to pinpoint actual threats. That was Emmy award-winning journalist, legal and media analyst Lionel of Lionel Media. Always appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 3 lists. Shall I go on? Okay, we've got 3 lists. People have consistently asked me about the 3 lists. The red list.
Right, so now I'm jumping to a clip with Springmile, where he speaks about the red list, the blue list, and the yellow list. I'm trying to boost this sound. I hope Arkham are hearing this good. I'm gonna put the mic as close so you can hear it. In fact, let me play it in the other video. It seems a bit louder.
People have consistently asked me about the 3 lists. The red list, the blue list, the yellow list. One of my friends decided to follow the blue splotches, markers that they've put on these road signs, and strangely enough, it led them to a site that shouldn't have had barbed wire, but it did, and looked like it had been built for the purpose of being a concentration camp in the future. Yes, that's what these lists are all about. The red list will be, it's 187,000 Americans, and the lists, which are on computers, have already been distributed, and perhaps the scenario that will happen and to round up people on the red list will go like this. And this comes from a man who, part of it comes, the bulk of it comes from a man who was the inspector for the Joint Chiefs of Staff of these concentration camps. There may be an electrical blackout at night. If you have an electrical blackout, watch out. It might be a cover for them coming for the red list. And then people like these Russians who are hiding, they have these the names. They will come at 4 a.m. just like they came at that time for Jesus. They'll pull you out of your house, and they will take you in a van, take you to like a cul-de-sac where helicopters flying in that are black. They're flying off of their regular system navigation. Will take you to sites and then take you to locations where you will be terminated.
Right, so he speaks a little bit there about the red list there. Now, I mean, exactly what he says, we're not going all into that because this is old information, but I just want to show you that clip. Now, with the red list, like he said, they got different classifications of people. You got the red, which is your people who are leaders of people that whose philosophy or ideology is a direct adversary to the New World Order. All right, that's your red list. That's your people of the highest threat. That's your people that need to be just killed primarily, first off, first and foremost. And the people on that list, that's your camp leaders, your leaders of camps. I'm pertaining this to this Israelite thing, because the Hebrew Israelite, the awakening of the Hebrew Israelites is the Yahweh Shai. That's the number one threat to the New World Order. Okay, that's why I said you got to forget about Islamic extremism. Islamic extremism is a straw man. It's a what can I say? It's a Trojan horse. It's a means for them to bring in the system and the framework that they want to use, but ultimately it's not about Islam at all. These powers that they're going to give themselves based upon Islamic extremism, which they control, is really designed for anyone who they deem to be a threat to the New World Order. And the number one threat is the men of the Lord, beginning with the apostles and elders, your camp leaders, men are in the camps. Because you're technically a leader. You're someone that's out there teaching the people. Now your yellow list is people that tend to follow. That's your people that's on YouTube or on social media, and they might like the video, they might make a positive comment. They're not really out there per se as a leader pushing it, but they agree with it. Those are people who are put on the yellow list. Now, people in the yellow list, they're a threat, but they're not a high level threat, so they might not face summary execution straight away. With them, they might just detain them and torture them and try and reprogram them somehow, then kill them later, whatever the case may be. But their threat level is not the same as someone who is on the red list. And then you get the blue list. The blue list is your average peon that don't know what's going on and is just ready for the taking. They're not really a threat. They could be killed. They could not be killed. Whatever side they fall on in terms of the algorithm, they're not a major threat. So you got the red list, you got the yellow list, you got the blue list. That's your classifications. All right, and this shit is real. You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to show you something going back to Jade Helm. Now, everyone should remember Jade Helm, right? Now, I got this information from the brother Yashawamba. So I want to play a clip for you with this woman basically going into Jade Helm and what it was all about. It was a drill. All right? And what they were really testing behind the scenes. So let me play it. In fact, let me check the comment boards first. Yeah, some of us, they're going to kidnap us in that day. The red list, they're going to be about that. Now let's I want to get this for you Archeum out there. Just check this out. Walk with me now.
I heard about this Jade Helm 15 exercise early back in March. Everybody was reporting on it, and I started doing some digging on it, and that's when I started coming across making the connection between the jade and the Jade Helm. and the Jade, or Jade 2, being an AI software system. Okay, it's basically the J2 system is an AI quantum computing technology that has the ability to use vast amounts of data that's being collected on the human domain, that's us, to generate a human terrain system, which they talk about in that PDF. Okay, in geographical locations, in order to identify, eliminate targets, insurgents, rebels, or whatever labels that can be flagged as targets on a global information grid in a network-centric warfare environment.
Yeah, basically using the information available to develop your stratagem. For instance, there's certain areas. Let's talk about America. There's certain areas that they know they're not going to send martial law troops into that area, because they know the type of people that live in that area, they know the type of weapons they have, and they can predict the amount of casualties they're probably going to get trying to get that area under control. So the main thing to do with that area is either bomb it or shut down the way in and out of that area and let the people starve and kill themselves. This is what the computer algorithms do as well. They help them develop strategies, because based upon all the information you gather on the people in a particular area, you can predict their level of resistance, what they would do in a situation, and then use that in your stratagem. Okay, and they even brought that out in the what was it in the King Alfred plan, how they know that certain areas there's no point trying to get control of that area. Just sequester it, shut off anything going in and out, and let the motherfuckers kill themselves. Let them starve themselves out. Don't be trying to go door to door. There's some areas you just don't go door to door, man, because it's gonna be problems. Okay, you let them kill each other. You let them starve out. You release a biological weapon, let them die out that way. But some areas you can't. All right. So that's what they got, these algorithms, man, that they have. And it's all based upon all these people chattering on social media, your Google searches, Google Analytics, man. It's all part of it. It's all information, and they're gonna use it. That's what it was made for. It wasn't made for your entertainment. Which by the way, the word amusement, the word amusement is actually a military terminology, and it means to distract. If you want to check that out.
Well, it sounds like it's not just a war on the American people. You know, we spoke recently with John W. Whitehead, the founder of the Rutherford Institute, and he has a new book out called Battlefield America, the war on the American people. And this sounds like a war on the people of Earth, because I'm sure we're not the only ones that are going to be using this artificial intelligence.
And I'm glad he said that. You see, a lot of the times we bring things out, like I said, these systems, they set them up in America, and we focus on America because why? America is a focus in the scriptures. However, in Britain, they got the same thing. How the hell do you think they got the same thing? They just call it by a different name. France, they got the same thing. Germany, they got the same thing. They all have these technologies, man. And guess what? They share information amongst each other. Because the more information you have, the more accurate your algorithms can be. That's what all this information sharing is all about. All right? So it's not just about America, man. They got the same thing here in the UK, and I already know where my place on that algorithm is going to be. But what really matters is what my place in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's algorithm is. Those that are written in the book, because that's the ultimate. But we got to speak about these things and warn the people.
These algorithms and so forth. I'm sure that's what they are, because everything changes over time on the battlefield, virtual or otherwise. So, I mean, is that your sense? Is everybody on Earth in the crosshairs here? I'm thinking maybe they are.
Well, with respect to the J2 exercise, it's kind of being hyped and pumped up out there as an invasion or an occupation of a section of America. At the very least, it's the largest type of RMT ever conducted on American soil, anywhere, ever. So to that aspect of it, I believe the concerns are real. However, I think there is another aspect to this program that's running in the background, this exercise, I should say, that's running in the background that not too many people are aware of, and that is probably by design.
And what are we thinking this thing is that's running in the background?
Well, in short, the software that they've developed, this J2, it's technology that will not be battles directed by generals and military commanders, but by a computer. All right? The J2 system is a network-centric, software-based AI program at the helm.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, how did you come to that conclusion without giving away the, everything?
I read it in papers that. Let me go back.
I mean, that's it on that. I mean, if you want to go check out this Jade Helm, the Hardcore Truth Explained, you can hear the rest of it. But that's basically where we're going, man. All right. So, was there anything else I needed to bring out on these ones? Let me get these articles, man. All right. And they're bringing it out slowly, letting the people be aware. This from the Charlotte Observer. It says, hug, handshake, high five, or kiss. New algorithm predicts what will happen next. You know, suspense is an element of all TV shows and movies, whether it's the suspense before a character's death, before a couple kisses, or before the hero saves the day. For those who don't mind ruining their favorite shows, MIT researchers developed an algorithm that could cut out that suspense. The program, trained with 600 hours of video from YouTube videos and popular TV shows such as The Office, Desperate Housewives, and The Big Bang Theory, it would take a frame a second before an action and use the body language of people within that frame to predict if the characters would shake hands, high five, hug, or kiss. So this is just an exercise with these algorithms. But the point is, they're developing. Imagine what the military and the deep state have with their unlimited resources, the algorithms that they can create, and what they're going to be using these algorithms for. And I think they even show you that in Resident Evil, the guy Wesley, when he was in the latest movie, when he was fighting the woman at the end, he had a chip in his brain, and he could calculate her possible actions before she even did it, man. So he was better able to fight her. You know, all that kind of stuff. People don't get it, man. These are things which there is achievable for them, because they have the computing power right now. They say computer processing doubles in power every 8 months or something like that, 6 months or something crazy, man. What they have behind closed doors, man, is some super duper ultra computers, man, with heavy amounts of processing. They can process all the information that's on these computers, man. All right. Let me get this. Pre-crime arrives in Chicago. Big data tells cops who's next to be shot. This is in Chicago, where homicides are out of control and estimated to top 550 in 2016, the most since 2012. The police are so desperate, problem reaction solution, to correct the problem that they are throwing good old-fashioned police work to the wind and turning to Minority Report-esque algorithms to do the work for them. So they've already introduced the idea of utilizing these algorithms for public safety. And these algorithms are eventually going to be used in the realm of terrorism. All right. Should I read some of this? Just bringing up some of this information here. We can bring this information out. It's good information. I mean, you don't take all of this information to be gospel. but it's a good idea of what they're doing and where they're heading. Okay. So we could read some of this. Check the comment boards. Shalom, Mark. We could read some of this information, man. See, this thing is real. That's, you got guys that come into this truth, and they don't understand that. Well, first and foremost, man, you always had a mark on you for death. You know, unless you take hold of your Yahushua, you got a mark on you for death, man. You know, a spiritual mark, which is the wages of sin. But what a lot of guys don't understand is the seriousness of when you call yourself an Israelite and you come in on these videos, there's no way out now, you know, because at the end of the day, man, your ass gets put on a list. And a lot of guys that's why they don't want to show their face. They think that if they just comment on the comment boards, you know, and do their little off the wall, they call themselves teachers, but you ain't ever gonna see them out there teaching. They might teach in Tesco somewhere. They might run into someone in Tesco and say, yo, by the way, you're an Israelite, you know, and they think that's cool. Listen, I don't give a fuck, man. Hey, brothers, I'm gonna speak for me, the head brother Ramah, the brother Paya Allah on down in the London camp. We don't give a fuck, man. We're here to push this word. We're gonna push out this gospel and we're gonna show our faces, man. And even if you don't show your face, they got you, man. They got you on your voice. Okay, they got you, man. You know what I'm saying? That algorithm can easily identify who the hell you are, man. Don't care if you put a fake name on YouTube, man. They trace that IP, turn on your fucking camera while you're using it, and look at your face, the same picture you got on your Facebook, and they get you. It's easy. Okay, it's easy work for an algorithm to identify your ass. So a lot of you cats, man, you think this is a joke. You better realize the reality of this thing is, man, this is life or death. That's why you got to serve Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That even if you have to receive death for the name of the Lord, you know at least, man, you're going to receive a reward. A lot of you ain't going to receive no reward. Your reward is death. All right? Now, this is FEMA death camps and the red list and blue list on the martial law. This Pam Schufert, this going back to 2007, says, while I have no doubt that the NWO cravers at the CIA have their own list of people to round up and terminate, the actual proper agency behind the now infamous red-blue list is none other than FEMA Black Ops. FEMA is not here to primarily help you. Under a full state of martial law, FEMA is here to send you to their detention camps to sort out who shall live and who shall die. And the chip's gonna be there too. Those unfortunates whose names are found among the millions of fellow Americans on FEMA's red-blue list will never come out of the FEMA camps alive. Although they may have to go through hell before they are finally terminated. Such offenders are essentially deemed resistors of the New World Order. As my CIA and military insiders told me personally, oh, all of us in the CIA know all about the concentration camps in America and their purpose. We all know that their purpose is to terminate resistors of the New World Order under martial law. Source Michael Mahoney, 20 years Naval Intelligence, CIA under Bush Sr. For example, and that's a scripture, their own tongue shall fall upon them. Psalm 64. For example, the FEMA death camp of the Mojave is a full gassing, cremating death camp dedicated to the termination of all on FEMA's red-blue list on the martial law. I have previously documented this horrific death camp and documented the eyewitness accounts of several former NWO supporters who were flown out there. Which I don't know if that's true, but that's what the information they're bringing out, okay? My friends Doc Marquise, Illuminati, and Elaine Nost, CIA Luciferian, formerly high-level Illuminati Luciferians, both now, Christians, for many years were both flown separately to this facility in the Mojave Desert of California. It boasts a landing strip. According to another contact, a DEA agent who personally investigated this FEMA facility, it was recently doubled in size to increase killing capacity. It is fully staffed. That's what the scripture says, man. This devil's going to come down with what? Wrath. Okay? It is fully staffed. All staff members wear black SWAT team uniforms because black in this world represents death and power. Okay? When I asked Doc Marquis what his sentiments were back when he was a member of the Illuminati and given a tour of this killing facility. His reply was shared joy. I rejoiced at the thought of Christians being terminated in this place. All right, and the real Christians they rarely after. Ultimately, the number one is you Israelites, man. Those of you who believe in Yahweh Shai. A chilling response, but typical of this nation's Satanists and NWO supporters. This FEMA death camp was shown off as something the New World Order and FEMA was literally proud of. And there are many more FEMA detention camps whose ultimate purpose on the martial law is not to save life, but to terminate human lives deemed unworthy of entering into the dawn of Lucifer's New World Order. Know the cold hard facts about FEMA and then think twice before going meekly to such camps under a state of martial law in your region. Which you can already see that a lot of these Hebrew Israelite camps, their leaders are set up to lead their followers straight into them camps. Like Nathaniel 7. Alright? Because they got to do Esau's paperwork. Alright? And this is always a good quote I'll bring up. The New World Order under the UN, because the UN is like the framework already created for world government. In order to right now the UN is a world government that's limp. It's an impotent world government. It's a world government that needs some horny goat weed. Okay, it's it is a Viagra, right? They're limp as hell. All right, they ain't got it. That's why in their plans they want to bring in chaos and then use that to then give the UN that horny goat weed, man, that power, which is that ultimate world government. All right, but we know Yahweh Shai is gonna come and put a giant spanner in that fucking mechanism. Okay, the system will be made up of a single currency, single centrally financed government, single tax system, single language, single political system, single world court of justice, single state religion. Okay, which is religion is ultimately going to be the worship of the state, man. You do what Esau says. That's it. Each person will have a registered number, without which he will not be allowed to buy or sell. So that's your implantable RFID chip, which is going to have your registration information. All the information is going to be keyed into that code, that ID, which is going to be built in with that chip. And the cloud computing and the cloud storage is all part of that. Because basically your chip is going to interface with the cloud storage system. The cloud storage system allows them to store all your information and have it accessible. Your chip is just going to be your identification, and it's going to be linked to information on that cloud storage. So once your chip gets clocked in, then they can check on the cloud storage all your information, which is attached to that chip. All right, that's why you need to chip people. It's the whole system's already being built up. Cloud computing, cloud storage is all part of it. Each person will have a registered number without which he will not be able to buy or sell, and there will be one universal world church. Anyone who refuses to take part in the universal system will have no right to exist. Assessment of the New World by Dr. Kirk E. Koch. And then there's another quote here by David Spangler. No one will enter into the New World Order unless he or she will make a pledge to worship Lucifer. No one will enter the New Age unless he will take a Luciferian initiation. And that's David Spangler, Director of Planetary Initiative, United Nations. Okay, so those are good quotes right there. The next article, there's a lot of information here. See what I can pull out of here for you. I mean, there's a lot of information in this article. Okay, so this goes back to one list. We could get this. I mean, I would like, if you want to know more, this is definitely a good article from the Survival blog. Red list, blue list, black list, U list. It's got a lot of information, but obviously, man, you don't get carried away with the information, man. You take the general point, man, because there's a lot of disinfo out there too. Let me read this for you, Arkham. Let's read a bit of this. It says the J. Edgar days. In the late 1930s, the FBI developed lists of individuals on cardstock index cards. One of these was the Custodial Detention Index, also known as the Custodial Detention List. This list was compiled between 1939 and 1941 under the Alien Enemy Control Program, according to one published report. The Custodial Detention Index was a list of suspects and potential subversives. Potential. You have the potential. And potential can be anything they say, man. Don't you know they already said that if you're homophobic, that's a sign of becoming an extremist? That's already out here in the. So if you make homophobic statements on YouTube or on social media, guess what? They can label you as a potential subversive, a potential extremist. All right, classified as A, B, C. The ones classified as A were destined to be immediately arrested and interned at the outbreak of war. Category A were leaders of Axis-related organizations. Category B were members deemed less dangerous, and Category C were sympathizers. So that's pretty much like the yellow list, the red list, the blue list, and the yellow list, man. All right, so that's good information there. Automating the list. All right, so as you go on, they start developing more technology to do this. In the 1980s, following the lead of the early adopting NSA and Atomic Energy Commission, the FBI moved into the computing age. Other than a few revelations about Rex 84, very little has been revealed about any enemies lists that were developed in the 1980s and 1990s. Even Rex 84 itself would have been nothing more than an obscure codename if it were not for the much publicized Iran-Contra hearings that captivated the American public through what would have otherwise been a boring summer. The following appears in Wikipedia's entry on Rex 84. Let's get this. Congressman Jack Brooks, Colonel North, in your work at the NCS, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government, civil contingency in the UK, in the event of major disaster? Brendan Sullivan, Mr. Chairman, Senator Daniel Anur, I believe that question touches upon a highly sensitive and classified area, so may I request that you not touch upon that. Brooks, I was particularly concerned, Mr. Chairman, because I read in Miami papers and several others that there had been a plan developed by the same agency, a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution. And I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was an area in which he had worked. I believe that it was, and I wanted to get his confirmation. Enu, may I most respectfully request that the matter not be touched upon at this stage. If we wish to get into this, I'm certain arrangements can be made for an executive session. Yeah, boy. So, hey, man, that's what's coming. Let's get this bit. The blacklist. If anyone reading this is politically active and is an outspoken champion of personal liberty, then it is probably safe to assume that you are already on some sort of list, at least a watch list. You might also be on a cyber blacklist targeting you for disinformation, discrediting campaigns, or perhaps for DDoS ping attack hacking. Yeah, like Avengers. It is no coincidence that DDoS ping floods are more frequently directed at politically outspoken blogs and websites. The key question is, what is your priority on those lists? If someone is a high priority for travel restriction or detention, then their passport would immediately be flagged and they might not have the opportunity to leave the country via conventional means through normal passport controls, yada yada yada. Alright, so that's pretty much it on that. Let's see what else I had. Oh, okay, yeah, but this is what I wanted to read out before. So I'll read this again just to recap what I've mentioned in the beginning of the video, because it's probably going to be a bit more, put it in your mind more of what they're dealing with. So you got the red list. These people are the enemies of the New World Order. They are the leaders of patriot groups. Like I said, you camp leaders, second in command, third in command, the whole camp basically. All right. Outspoken ministers, outspoken talk show hosts, community leaders, and even probably NET leaders. These people will be dragged out of their homes 4 a.m., will be taken to FEMA detention centers and killed. This will take place approximately 2 weeks before martial law is enforced. Like I said, whether or not it takes 2 weeks before, that's not important. What's important is there's a list and what they want to do with it. Blue list, these are also enemies of the New World Order, but are followers of the red list folks. Okay, so I think I mixed up the blue list with the yellow list earlier. That was my bad. Salakia. These people will be rounded up after martial law is in place and will be taken to the detention centers and re-educated. Various mind control techniques will be used on them. Most will not survive this. Mr. Springmeyer was not specific on exactly who was on the blue list, but I would guess that people such as you and I are on the list. Yellow list, these are citizens who know nothing about the New World Order and don't want to know. They are considered to be no threat at all and will be instructed as to how to behave and will most likely do whatever they are told. Unfortunately, there are too many of these to be effectively controlled, so many will be killed or starved. This is the reality. This is the reality. Blacklist, I have recently heard that the red and blue lists have been combined into one and it is called the blacklist. All blacklisted citizens will be marked for execution. Okay. Alright, so that's what it is, man. So, hey, this is all coming to a head. Eventually, they're gonna institute these things. The main thing is that you take heed onto this gospel, man. Because look, man, if you don't take heed onto the gospel, you're gonna fall by that sword and and without a reward on top of that. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna cut it short because I gotta breeze. But hopefully, you brothers were edified, man. Repent. Because the time is at hand when these things are gonna be done. Shalom.